Have you ever considered life on Mars? Well, it may be less science fiction and more reality than you think. In today's video, we'll be talking about life on Mars and the organisms that may already call the Red Planet home. As long as we've known about Mars's existence, the notion that there could be life on it seems absolutely preposterous. That is until August 7th, 1996, when a meteorite was brought into NASA headquarters. The meteorite, originating from Mars, showed signs of life, and suddenly, everything we knew about Mars changed drastically. This specific rock had formed over 4 billion years ago on Mars, and then, 16 million years ago, the impact caused by an asteroid sent the rock launching into space and onto our planet. It landed in Antarctica after spending 13,000 years floating about the solar system. It actually landed on Earth in 1984, but wasn't discovered until 1996, when a geologist equipped with a snowmobile made the discovery. When the meteorite was studied by scientists, they discovered that it contained chemicals that could only be created by microbes. For those of you who don't know, microbes are organisms that are microscopic in size. Although they are small, they are a living creature, and thus proving that life does in fact exist on Mars. Upon further inspection, David McKay, the scientist heading the case, found that there were globule chains found in the meteorite that were similar to chains made by bacteria found right here on Earth. Although scientists couldn't say with 100% certainty that this meant there was actual life on Mars, it was a step in the right direction. Like all new scientific discoveries, there was skepticism. J. William Schopf, who is a paleobiologist with the University of California, casted doubt on David McKay's findings. He compared a piece of fossil found here on Earth, complete with globules caused by bacteria, to the meteorite that came from Mars. He deduced that the globules weren't similar at all, and thus the minerals found on the meteorite did not necessarily mean that microbes existed on the Red Planet. His argument wasn't well received at all, and even NASA themselves celebrated the meteorite as a sign of Mars having life, if not currently, at least in the distant past. But that's not to say no one believed Schopf or Carl Sagan, who was also a critic of the meteorite's so-called microbes. In fact, this sparked a huge debate within the scientific community. It seemed that no one could really agree upon whether the rock showed significant proof of life. It even led to people questioning how trustworthy early fossils showing microscopic life on Earth were. Needless to say, this little piece of space rock caused a whole lot of controversy. However, controversy in the scientific community isn't always a bad thing. It's how we learn and uncover the truth about the world around us. This is why NASA eventually listened to some of the skeptics and set out to prove them wrong. How? By creating Mars rovers. With the implementation of biotechnology, the next generation of Mars rovers were built to prove once and for all truth behind how habitable Mars really is. How? Well, they're designed to pick up microorganisms whether or not they're currently living. As the years go on, and the Mars rovers would continue to upgrade and make newfound discoveries, over half the scientific community would come to agree that some sort of life has existed on Mars at some point in time. And over a quarter have come to think that there is life on Mars still thriving to this very day. But why is it that with all these new scientific discoveries and developments that there are still people who refuse to believe in life on Mars? Well, let's look at the facts. A huge argument against life on Mars is the fact that the environment is less than habitable, to say the least. Despite the planet's red-hot look, it's actually incredibly cold. The surface of Mars can reach chilling temperatures as low as -222 degrees. No human being could possibly survive in an environment like that. But do the same rules apply for microscopic organisms? Maybe, but the planet hasn't always been a frigid wasteland. Mars is about as old as Earth, and that means a lot could have happened to its environment during the billions of years it's been around. There are dried-up lake beds found on the planet's surface that indicate to scientists that there were once active water supplies. Scientists also believe that Mars's atmosphere was much more successful at trapping heat in the past, thus giving them evidence that the -220-degree weather wasn't always the norm for the Red Planet. In short, a lot of scientists have come to think that Mars was actually a lot like Earth in its early years. It was warm, green, and wet, much like our home planet, and could have stayed that way for millions or billions of years. Remember, we've only known of Mars's existence for an incredibly small fraction of time, compared to how long it's existed in our solar system. There's so much about the planet's past that we just don't know, and honestly, may never know. What do you think? Do you think it's possible that Mars was once like Earth? Let us know in the comments section down below. We can't wait to read what you all have to say. Before you put your answer, this may help you make up your mind. In 2004, one of Mars's rovers discovered a piece of rock that, when studied by scientists, turned out to be formed underwater, deep inside a vast sea. Very peculiar finding for a planet that is so dry. That's not the only discovery on Mars we've made in the last few years. In fact, we're learning more and more about the planet with each passing day. We recently discovered that Mars had methane in its atmosphere. Do you know what produces methane? Microbes, aka living beings. Further reports discovered that the copious amounts of methane found in Mars may not only be caused by microbes, but microbes that live deep underground, far away from the planet's surface. Shortly after the methane discovery, a group of scientists based out of Europe detected not only methane, but formaldehyde on Mars. Once again, formaldehyde is a chemical compound that's created by living beings. Just more proof that life on Mars could very well exist. They also discovered that the Elysium Plains, which is a region of Mars just by its equator, was actually a frozen sea. They believe the sea was buried under immense layers of volcanic ash caused by the eruption of one of Mars's many volcanoes. This begs the question, is there water on Mars? Is it simply hidden under the surface of the planet? Perhaps in the future, when our technology is advanced further, we'll be able to dig deep into Mars's surface and see what lies under there ourselves. In the meantime, scientists are racing to put an end to the great debate once and for all. Is there life on Mars? One of these scientists is Andrew Steele. Andrew Steele is currently developing a Mars rover that has the potential to attract different types of bacteria. This rover will hold out a glass pane. On the pane will be several different antibodies, each one designed to attract different bacteria. He's hoping that once NASA is able to utilize his device, we'll know for certain just how many and which types of microbes exist on the planet. Steele is also working on a rover that will be able to crush rocks on Mars to a fine powder. Once the rocks are crushed, scientists will be able to analyze the powder's molecules and search for any signs of life. So, what does it mean for us as humans exactly, if life exists on Mars? Some of you may be wondering, who cares? Well, we'll tell you why we do, and you should too. Because believe it or not, life on Mars could mean a lot for the human race's future. If you've kept up with the news, you may have heard of SpaceX and of course its founder, Elon Musk. Musk has been incredibly vocal about his desire to colonize Mars and make it so that the human race is a multi-planet species. How? Well, SpaceX and Musk are currently developing large spacecrafts that could ship hundreds of humans at once to Mars every 26 months, when Mars is closest to the Earth. Musk believes that within the next century, humans will have set up thriving cities on the Red Planet. He even believes that these cities will be home to millions of citizens. Of course, there's a lot of factors that go into this plan succeeding. One in particular is how livable is Mars exactly? Musk himself, although he is a genius, doesn't have a concrete plan, at least publicly, on how we will form these cities, and how human beings will be able to survive the planet's harsh conditions. That's why it's important to learn as much about the planet as we possibly can now, because this may come to save us in the long run. For instance, if there is a water source available under Mars's surface, then that would help immensely when time comes to colonize the planet. The fact that there is overwhelming evidence of microbes and other organisms currently living on the planet is a huge deal. And who knows, as we learn more about Mars's past and how similar of an environment it had to Earth, could we potentially turn the planet back to its former glory? Make it a place that is indistinguishable from the planet we currently call home. It's questions like these that we need to ask ourselves as we continue to learn more about the Red Planet and what it could potentially offer us in case we need to seek refuge on it. There is still so much we don't know about Mars, but as each day passes by, it seems that scientists are discovering more and more. And needless to say, we've come a long way since that little meteorite in 1996. That's all for today's video. We hope you enjoyed it. If you did, be sure to like, comment and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any more content like this. See you next time.